So here we are. It's June 2023 and we are fast approaching our third junior doctor strike. I very heavily question whether ongoing strikes will actually make a difference. Being a doctor myself, I feel and understand the pay issues, don't get me wrong, okay? And for those of you who have been living under a rock for the past 10 years maybe, let me explain it to you. Why are we being so disgruntled that we will leave patients at risk? Well, we've had a 26%-ish, maybe it's 28% pay cut in real terms over the past 10 to 15 years. I sound like a news presenter. So the issue is, right, inflation goes up. Our pay stayed the same. So we're fucked, really. We just can't afford to keep living. I mean, we'll get onto that later, but we're looking to get that reversed. And that is the point of the strikes. And in next week, we go on our third strike for 72 hours. Now look, the government spend money on all sorts. So we're all thinking like, come on, cough up. Why can't you just pay us a bit more like we deserve? You know, we went through a fucking pandemic, bitch. And I question whether money truly will help, because money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it buys security, but we are going to discuss what will happen if we don't manage to get the pay rise that we were all hoping for, and what will happen if we do manage to get it. So, hi guys, welcome back to my podcast, Backseat Positivity, where positivity takes a backseat. No, it doesn't. I like to bring it in every so often, as well as some weird thoughts. I am a doctor working as a locum doctor currently in the southwest of England. So, my last episode was about, do you know what? I really can't remember the exact title. Called Why Doctors Don't Leave Medicine. And it kind of links into this one, because my first question is, if we don't get a pay rise, will doctors even leave? Now, that is the big old threat, isn't it? We'll all leave. We'll go, or we'll fuck off somewhere else. But will we? Like, I tried, and it was quite difficult, mainly because maybe I just didn't try that hard, but I wasn't really willing to go and do, I don't know, work as a waitress or whatever. Or I think as a doctor you accept a certain standard of living, and then once you've reached that, it's hard to drop back down. Or just as anybody, actually. You don't have to be a doctor to reach a certain standard of living and not want to drop your standard of living once you've reached it, you know, and you feel like you're going backwards in life. So I really question whether people would actually leave. Also, I think people will not like I hate to say it, but I guess the status drop. The drop where you lose, I guess, status in society because you're not working as a doctor anymore. And people often like that and want to hold on to the respect that comes with it, and the trust and the kind of social class that you get with that. And I hate to use these terms and I hate to say it, but it's kind of true, right? So people are going to want to hold on to that. So really, will people leave, and what will they do? But it's not whether they'll leave for different jobs. It's whether they'll leave the country. Now, that is a big one, isn't it? Or whether they'll leave training programs. Because the issue with being a doctor at the moment is, if you're in a training program, you're really fucked over. You're really fucked over because you have to abide to a rota, which is often quite grueling. You are paid more every year, but it's really not that much for the amount of hours you do compared to what you could get as a locum. And a lot of people are just going less than full time and saying, well, I'll just work less than full time. Yeah, it'll take me longer to get to training properly. But the thing is, I'll just locum as well, and I'll earn just as much, but I'll work fewer hours. The other thing is, other people might just decide to locum full time like I'm doing, or they might decide to do a out of training thing. Now that's called a Caesar, and it's mainly just in ED, like the emergency department. It might come in other areas as we see fewer and fewer people go into training, but I mean, things like surgery, you're not really gonna get Caesaring because it's so competitive, people want to go into it. And there are obviously people, I I think we're just going to see fewer consultants or fewer people progressing quickly to consultant. I think we're going to end up seeing more associate specialists, more very senior regs or like Caesar people, or just people that have got portfolio careers and don't want to go into training and also don't want to become consultants, because I don't really see the benefit right now. Like, you do get a pay rise, you do probably get your own office and your own pigeonhole, great, more post, more bills, more concerns, but you also have like patients attached to you, maybe some people like that, attached to your name, and I just think you get like much less flexibility. Now, some people just want to be consultants, fair enough, I don't know. You do get, you do have to do like less, you can get people to do stuff for you, I suppose. You are the boss. Maybe there are benefits and maybe the consultants are just hiding it from us, I don't know. But I think the biggest thing is like, do we really want like the responsibility? And my question is, if we don't get a pay rise, will we just see fewer consultants? I don't know. I think maybe we're seeing fewer consultants now, but the funny thing is we've got a shortage of doctors, right? But there's not enough training posts or like not enough training posts in places where people want to live. So anyway, that's a whole different subject. But I do question what people will do if they've been working as a doctor and then they go, no, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do it. I really don't think people will leave. I think the biggest concern, like I said, is that people go to New Zealand or Australia. And that's already happening. But once New Zealand and Australia don't want any more doctors, then what? Like, what do we do then? Do we, like, there's nowhere else for us to go, really. And I guess you can go to the more, like, remote areas of New Zealand and Australia. And then the more popular places are just going to get more competitive and lower price, and it's just supply and demand. So if they don't leave and we don't get the pay rise, what will happen then? Now, I think obviously there will just be lower job satisfaction. I think as a result, the morale will be even lower than it is. I think people are still a bit perky and a bit like, oh yeah, well, maybe we could win this strike, right? I think we're going to have to keep up in the ante. I don't think we can just keep doing 72-hour strikes, because we've already done that and we need to go up a bit more, okay? I think one of the biggest things is people will just, and they're already doing it, is like saying to people, especially their children or people who haven't gone into medicine yet, like, don't do it. Just don't. Like, don't put yourself through that. And the thing is, I would never say don't go into medicine, because I think it's opened a lot of doors for me, or it's changed me very positively as a person. But I would say I frown less upon people that would just get a medical degree for the sake of getting a medical degree. When I was in medical school, I remember people saying that and I was like, what? Like, why would you do that? And now I get it. Like, you've got a medical degree, you're fucking smashing life, right? It's the most sought after degree you can have. And I do think, well, you could probably do F1 and F2, and then, you know, you've worked as a doctor, you've kind of proven yourself and you've got your registration, fucking go for it, and then you can probably change careers. But a lot of people don't. Some people do. Maybe I just don't know them because they've already left. I think there'll be obviously higher rates of burnout, and people will just care less. Like, if your employer doesn't care about you, you're going to be like, fuck you, I don't care. If, like, there's a major incident going on, do you care? No, not really. You're like, well, we'll cope. They'll cope. Obviously you care about your like colleagues, but in the grand scheme of things, people would probably just care less about like helping the hospital out and helping their employer out, right? And helping the government out, because you're like, why would I? Like, I kind of don't want to put myself in that situation. I don't want to put myself in a situation where there's no staff unless you're paying me like double. Then why would, like, I don't need the extra stress, okay? I'm just saying this, like, not me, like, just general. I think what I'm seeing, and I think this is probably because I am a side hustle doctor, right? I think we're seeing more side hustle doctors coming out. I don't know if that's because I am one, so I see more of them more frequently, but I would always encourage a fellow doc to have a side hustle, because, like, if you want to leave medicine in 5 years, or in a year, like, obviously the side hustles I'm taking are quite difficult because they're more like, mine are more like passive income, which take a long time to build up. But you can definitely have like a side hustle that is bigger and more instantaneous and like quicker to get. So like I've got my plant business, and that, like, if I really wanted to, like, I could put like all my energy into that. But it's good having it like in the background where it's just kind of doing its thing, and I'm just leaving it, it's just going, right? And when I make my YouTube videos and my podcast, they make money in the background, and when people listen to my old podcast, they go, and they subscribe or whatever. Now, that all in turn also makes money passively. And I'm gonna do, I think, maybe a video or maybe a YouTube, maybe a podcast about all my side hustles as a doctor, because I think every doctor should have a side hustle, at least one. Now I have too many, so I can tell you all of mine, but yeah, I think then it'll just lead to like this half commitment thing, right? And also, if the side hustle makes you more money and you enjoy it more, you'll probably just leave medicine. Like, why would, if my side hustles made me enough money to not work as a doctor, would I be working as a doctor? I actually don't think so. I think maybe I would do like, a bit here and there, but if it was making significantly more, I probably wouldn't bother. I might bother in terms of keeping my GMC registration, but that's probably about it. Like, if it just probably wouldn't be worth my time. And ultimately, someone was like, what do you love the most about your job? I was like, the fact that it gives me money. And honestly, at the moment, like, I do enjoy it, and it gives me a sense of purpose, and it makes me leave the house. But like, the main thing that I love about it at the moment is that it gives me money, because I kind of need money. Now, if we don't manage to get the strike situation sorted out, I think we will see an exodus, like I said, to Australia, New Zealand. If the US and Canada made it easier, oh fucking hell would people be right over there. I would go to the US. 1, it's closer than Australia. 2, it's bloody massive. And 3, I've never been to America and I kind of want to go. Now, that might not be a reason. I also want to go to Australia, but the flights are longer, maybe more expensive, and it is a lot further away, okay? Now, if you're listening, who's the president? President Biden, right? If you're listening, if you need more doctors, which I don't know if you do, but if you do, I bet you UK doctors would fucking snap up jobs over there. I'm telling you. Now, I don't know that it's better working conditions, but the pay significantly better. Now, I also think, like, let's get on to the topic of, does money even buy happiness, right? Did I say that right? Does money buy happiness? Now, I've had some locum jobs. I've made really good money, but I've been miserable doing them because they're shit locum jobs that no one else wants to do, hence why they're paying well. Okay, so, but if I got paid as well as I did for those jobs as I did for like a normal, nice, job, oh my God, that would be amazing. And also, what I realised over that time was that, yeah, money doesn't buy me happiness, but it buys me a house. And at the moment I can't buy a house, and it buys security, and at the moment I don't have that. We are generation rent. Ooh. And you have to buy with somebody right now to be able to buy a house. Like, it's quite difficult, even as a doctor, like, even as a locum. Oh my God, as a locum, they're like, nah, won't give you a mortgage, sorry. Now, I think if people are happier in their job working as a doctor, less people will leave, and it'll have this opposite vicious circle effect of like a happy, positive circle where people will go, oh, I don't want to leave. So then more people will either come back or stay or go into training programs. There'll be fewer gaps, and then there will be, and also more people might, go to medical school and stuff like that, or stay after going to medical school and not like leave F1. And there's this opposite of a vicious circle, like a happy circle, where people want to stay and want to come back because the pay is good. So it will be like a good thing to like keep, building the workforce up. Whereas currently we've got this vicious circle where no one really likes working in the NHS or in hospital or whatever, and then so they leave, and then it makes it worse for everybody else, so they leave, and then so on, right? So if we can reverse that, fucking bonus. I do wonder if people will just care less about their job working as a doctor. Now, The thing is, I think you often think, oh, people just do a worse job, right? But then I'm like, do doctors ever do a worse job? Like, we'll just stay later and later. And it's really hard just to go, nah, because we're quite caring people. And I do think, like, will the standards, like, drop that much? I think the things that we see as unimportant will get left, right? But then we might, I guess, just end up burning ourselves out more and more. And then there'll be more sick days. And I think people will just be happier to take sick days because they'll be like, well, I get paid and working conditions are shit, so fuck the government and I'm just going to go and, like, it's not that people will be like, I'm just going to go take a sick day even though I'm not sick. I think people might just be happier. They'll be like, I'm not as bothered. Like, it might even be nicer to be off sick, which, you know, is true to an extent, and then you get a bit bored. So the question is, if a pay rise does happen by some fucking miracle, like 26%, like, that is insane. Like, it, in the grand scheme of things, in the NHS budget, I don't know that it will be that much, but in my head I'm like, I don't think the government care. Like, it's a game of chicken, right? I just don't think they care. I'm like, they will not chicken out before us because they don't care. They don't care about the NHS. They don't care about us. They don't care about patients. They care about making the rich richer, and whatever happens to the rest of them, fuck it, I don't care. Like, if you see the abhorrent amount, I've never used that word, abhorrent amount of money that they spend on some shit, billions and billions, you're like, why can't you just pay the staff more, right? You could say the same about bloody Jeff Bezos and Amazon workers. He did this interview where he was like, yeah, I have so much money, I don't know what to do with it. And it's like, well, you could just pay your staff more, you fucking dickhead. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a bit carried away there. I do think if we get a pay rise, what will that do? Now, I have put, will it just cause temporary happiness and then it'll just wane and people will go, well, it's still the fucking same, isn't it? Like, nothing's changed. There's no more hospitals. There's no more staff. But like I said earlier, will it bring more staff back? And that in turn will make the situation better. It won't make the crampedness better, but it'll make the flow quicker or take the pressure off individual people to be carrying the load for things. It will also just be nice to be respected by your employer. Like, there's nothing worse than feeling like you don't matter and you're just fodder, right? So if you were like, oh, the government actually does give a shit about us, I think that would be a huge morale boost. And it may not, like, necessarily be about the money. I mean, they've kind of fucking ruined it anyway, haven't they? Because they're like, well, no, and you guys are killing people, so, as in they're saying that to us, you guys are killing people by not working, so, and you're disgusting people. And it's like, why are you putting up such a fight? And it's like, well, maybe they're putting up a fight to be, you know, to make a point and thinking, oh, they'll probably just back down, and maybe they just don't care about it that much. But it is like, well, if they give it to us, then they'll have to give a pay rise to the rest of the NHS staff. And you'd be amazed at how much money they spend on absolute shit in the NHS. Like there's like tons and tons of managers who are paid six figures. Apparently, I don't know any of these people. They're obviously hiding from my view, but we spend hundreds of thousands per patient per year on kind of semi-pointless drugs that don't really work, like chemotherapies, for example. And it's like, that's not even how much we're asking per doctor. That would pay lots of doctors' wages. And, like, I'm not saying don't give cancer patients treatment, don't get me wrong there. What I'm saying is, why are we giving very, very, very expensive treatments that actually don't work? Like, just to be able to, like, oh, here's something that, you know, we don't know what to do, so we'll just, like, give you something that's, like, fucking millions of pounds. It is kind of insane. I also think if you're paid more, right? So if I think when I'm working as a locum, I'm like, if I get paid more for a job that isn't that good, I will stay there more happily. Okay, so I've done some really crap jobs, but I've been like, shit, the pay's really good. And it kind of balances it out, it's like, well, I'm willing to sacrifice, some of my happiness. Sounds bad, but so I'm willing to sacrifice some of my happiness for, pay and financial security and then happiness outside of work, because I can, maybe go on holiday, or I can have a house that's my own, or whatever. And you are therefore more happy to sacrifice some kind of, to work in more shit conditions. And there's a reason why, people are paid more in worse jobs, and that's not just in relation to the NHS, that's like globally, right? Just the supply and demand. And again, just, there's no point in me going over this again, but it's like the opposite of the vicious circle. So more staff, happy, blah, 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 happy circle, happy life. So, but what I'm thinking is, does the government even fucking care? And I know I've said that, but I'm saying it a little bit differently this time, because I'm thinking, and this is kind of a conspiracy theory in myself, but everybody else agrees with me. It's not just me that's thinking this, okay? It's not just a conspiracy theory of Dawn. But everyone's like, the NHS is just being slowly, insidiously privatised. No one's noticing, except us, but it's happening under the underground. And it's like watching, and to make a medical analogy of it, it's like watching someone who is semi-palliated. Like they're gonna die, but no one will give them that syringe driver. It's like they're dying of a bowel perforation, but we'll carry on the antibiotics just in case. And it's like, no, if the NHS is dying and it's gonna die and you're letting it die, government, then fucking palliate it. Give it a syringe driver. Let it die. Stop giving it false hope and clinging on to clutching at straws. Let it die. It's more painful to watch something die slowly than it is to just fucking cut it off. And I know you don't want to be the ones that cut it off and be the ones that kill the NHS, because, that'll be unpopular at the polling stations, won't it? Yes. Yes, it will. But you're already unpopular anyway, so may as well continue digging your own grave and just lie in it, okay? That's all I've got to say, I reckon. Just either... okay, in summary... I would love an NHS workers' pay rise. Do I see it happening? I don't want to be negative. Yes, I do see a pay rise happening. Do I see it at 26%? I am optimistic, because I hope that BMA won't give up on it. But I think the government are going to severely dig their heels in. And I'm hoping at the next election, please fucking change your vote. We don't need the Conservatives back in. And if you're over 50, sort yourselves out, come on, because you are gonna need NHS healthcare, and you need someone to be funding that, i.e. the government. So choose, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but choose someone who actually supports the NHS, and doesn't just say they will, has an actual track record of it, because seeing is believing, not hearing. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, guys. I upload every Monday and Thursdays, and I upload stuff for doctors, self-improvement stuff, general discussions about doctory stuff, and a little bit of self-love, a little bit of, I guess, brutal, honest, fun stuff. Okay, I'll see you in a few days. Bye.